All right. What shows you want to talk about?
All right. Well, I don't have much for WWE this week. Do you have anything for them?
I watched Summer Raw and I watched NXT,
Yeah.
the
Anything
condensed.
anything stick out for you?
NXT had that big upset this week where Johnny Gargano lost the North American title to Leon Ruff.
Oh, I just remember something I wanted to talk to you about.
What's that?
All right. So we'll get back to NXT in a minute. What do you think about the Rascals finishing up with Impact?
Oh, thank you. I was gonna bring that up. I forgot.
Uh,
Um, okay, we'll start NXT over after, but I mean that's an interesting one because it's three guys in one group that they're all finishing up at the same time, and I would say they're probably one of the bigger acts on Impact.
oh
So
yeah, for sure.
so I mean the talk is that they're going to NXT now. I mean it's tough for Impact, right? Because we know it's going to be harder to keep talent, especially with AEW there as well. So I think NXT is a good fit for them if that's where they're going. If they went to AEW, for example, I don't know if they're going to get the screen time there. Um, they have a
No,
hard
that's
time.
that's the thing. They'll be competing for that.
Yeah, so AEW has a hard time. They got a lot of talent already. NXT, you're basically building that next group of stars, and they don't have a trio act on NXT, so I think that's a perfect fit for them. I don't know what kind of gimmick they would have in NXT. I can't see them doing the treehouse thing in the WWE. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Not not that they have to do it. They're charismatic enough. I think they could do pretty much anything they want. But I was thinking about this when the news came out about that. Eventually, it would be an interesting matchup as a trio, them going against the New Day.
Hmm. But that's not going to happen.
No, but well, I could, but down the road.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
they could be the replacement for the New Day.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
I think all three of those guys are talented,
I
very
really
talented.
like Trey Miguel. I
Oh
think he
yeah,
is. I think if one of them were to break out as a single star, I think that's your guy. Damon Desmond Xavier is really good as well. I'm not too. This is. I'm. The verdict's still out on Wentz. I like him as in a tag team, but like I don't see him being anywhere near having the spotlight as the other two.
well, it might be. I mean, you don't know, right?
Yeah, you'll never know. That's the thing, right? But he has a like they all have a look. They're all good together. They all mesh well together, play off each other, all that jazz that you want like a tag team or a trio to have. It's funny because when I first heard the news, I'm like, wow, this is a big loss for Impact. And yeah, well, it is a big loss for Impact. You got to also remember that this is a big coup for Impact too, because back when Scott D'Amore and uh, Don Callis took over Impact, they said that they were going to kind of use it as a launching pad. And we're kind of seeing that with certain wrestlers already. They really are playing nice with other
Yep.
places. So, Rasco's going on to NXT, Rasco's going on WWE, Rasco's going on to AEW. It's looking like Impact's a good launching ground for talent. And I think that is really good. You're I hope to see a lot more of that. So anyway, speaking of
Um,
NXT,
wait, before
oh,
we NXT, I just want to say something. MLW is coming back next week. Um,
oh
and
yes.
there was one name announced that I thought was very interesting. I don't know if you saw it. But ACH is announced for their show next week. The former Jordan Miles from NXT.
You know what's funny? I was just thinking about him the other day. That is funny that you brought that up because I don't know why, but he popped in my head and I was like, oh, geez, like, like that's somebody that we'll probably never see again. And you know what? I was thinking of my autographs. That's what it was. I was thinking of the autographs I have, and I have his autograph. And I was like, wow, that's a guy like, you probably won't see in any sort of wrestling ring ever again, which it's funny though, because I was thinking about it. Now stay with me. And I was like, he really, you can't blame him. He can't be blackballed from the business just because he stood up to WWE over what he saw. And I mean, a lot have, seen as a racist shirt that was released. So I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen him in AEW or Impact or anywhere else, or like no other company jumped, unless maybe his no complete clause. Did he have a 3 months? Well, I mean, that would have been up a long time ago, but
I suspect because he bailed on WWE before that shirt came out, if I remember correctly. He wasn't showing up. But I think he's got more. I think he might have some personal issues too. Just some of the social media behavior outside of that. That I
yeah,
don't
but
know for sure.
I don't know. Did he have heat like in Ring of Honor in that when he was in there? I never heard much like negative.
Well, he went off on them with the NXT thing. Like he didn't before, he does now. Because he like he called Jay Lethal and Uncle Tom, stuff like that. Like about because he was very the whole shirt thing. Obviously, there was racial overtones to it, and he was calling out other African American wrestlers, saying that they're catering to white owners and different things. And Jay Lethal was one of them. And I don't know what was, it seemed like he really. I don't know. This thing really affected him, but I have a feeling there's some other stuff going on there. I don't know if he had any issues in Ring of Honor or not. He worked New Japan too, if I remember correctly. It seems like he worked in a lot of places. He had a lot of work prior to WWE, and then he announced he wasn't wrestling anymore. So I just found it interesting that they announced him for MLW because it almost, you know how wrestling is. If you get heat anywhere, sometimes people remember that in other places and don't want to use you. But I mean, I hope that he is able to get a fresh start with MLW because he's very talented. I thought he was really talented, even in NXT as Jordan Miles. He was on his way
Yeah,
until everything went down. Like he won that tournament, the New Stars tournament, whatever they called it, and he had like the title shot against Adam Cole. Like they were definitely pushing him. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that because I thought that was a very interesting thing. So we'll have to check out the show next week, and then we can. Well, I think it comes out on Fridays, but we'll check it out and we'll discuss it on here.
all right.
So NXT, Johnny Gargano came out with like a wheel, like a like the spin the wheel, make a deal type thing, but it had all these names of all the different wrestlers on in tape. It had Leon Ruff on it, so he spun the wheel and he's cutting a heel promo while he's doing it, and it turns back and forth, and then it lands on Leon Ruff like he intended it to. So Leon Ruff, I don't know. Have you seen him before?
I think I've seen one match, and
Okay,
that's it.
so he's a smaller wrestler. I would say he's smaller than Drake Maverick. So he's getting beat up most of the match with Gargano, and then Damon Priest standing outside. Now Gargano's distracted, and he ends up getting pinned with like a crucifix bomb and loses the title. So it was like the shocking upset of Leon Ruff winning the North American Championship. Little, little more comedy than I would like, to be honest. Damian Priest helps him put the belt on around his waist, but he's so small the belt falls down around his ankles. Anyway, it was that was the big thing from NXT that
Leon Ruff is 5'7", 150 pounds. There's not much information on him.
yeah, I have never that's the first time I've seen him.
Yeah, I think I've seen him somewhere like on NXT or something before, like not long ago, but I don't know anything about him. Like I don't even know like if he was an indie wrestler where he wrestled in, nothing.
There was a promo, like a vignette on this show from Shotzi Blackheart. So the big angle right now is Candice LeRae destroyed her tank with a truck or something, running it over. And ordinarily I would just skip this because, it's not really my thing. But this vignette, I was kind of half watching it, and then I got into it because at first she's like going on about her tank being destroyed, but then she explained what the tank actually meant to her, and I was like, "Well, that's pretty good." So she mentioned how the tank's a part of her and challenges overcome, and she drives the tank because she has family in the military, and that hurt her deep. And I was like, well, that's an interesting spin on it because I thought the tank was just some free spirited type thing. So I actually like that kind of spin on it. I like when you could weave in real life things with the talent. I Do you know who Boa is?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a segment on this with Raquel Gonzalez. She comes out, she's gonna go against Xia Li. Xia Li doesn't come out, but Boa does and says that the match is canceled. She's not here. And then Raquel Gonzalez beats up Boa, which she nailed him with a boot to the face. That I if it's working, it's pretty good because it looked a little stiff-ski to me. But then she power bombs him and all this, and then some weird lights go on in the building. It's like a dragon going across the screen, and like this mystery guy comes out, and he hands Bo an envelope, and then he takes his hand and he writes a symbol in ash on his hand. I don't know what that was. It was a little ordinarily I would say too cartoony, but it did actually was kind of neat. So I think they have some mystery dude. There wasn't really anything else on this show, to be honest with you. Oh, your boy, Hunga's favorite, Pat McAfee. Awesome promo on this show again. He came out with his crew. By the way, I know we talked about it a little bit. Pete Dunne is absolutely jacked.
Yeah.
It's funny because he was always kind of a smaller guy, a little bit thin, but he keeps going this way. He's gonna have to change his name to Scott Steiner because he's getting bigger every time I see him.
I wouldn't go that far.
But basically, McAfee, his promos are so ridiculous. He basically said that the wrestling community is the dumbest community in like the whole internet. That, and I mean, you can make an argument for for that, but he went off on the wrestling internet and how basically he does a good job putting over his guys. Anyway, they Birch and Lorcan wrestled Fandango, and they ended up winning that match. Those guys are really coming into their own as heels. They were a solid team, but I think with McAfee, they're actually doing a really good job. Ends up being a big schmoz at the end. Drake Maverick comes down, tries to cost the match, and he gets beat down pretty good by by them. And McAfee does a punt kick to the head, and then he rips on the crowd some more. I really like McAfee. I think he's you put him over a lot. I'm gonna put him over as well. Best heel promo right now.
Nice.